Pacing begins with dynamic, tense 90s style music. The narration is confident and fast-paced. How do you defeat the fourth largest army on Earth, 500,000 soldiers strong, in just 100 hours? In 1991, the world got its answer. Operation Desert Storm went down in history as a symbol of American military might. But the real story is that this war was won before the first tank ever crossed the sand, and its ending was even more surprising than its beginning.
Pacing, narrative, setting the stage. It all started in August of 1990. Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein, fresh off an 8-year war with Iran, makes a stunning gamble. He invades and occupies the tiny but incredibly oil-rich nation of Kuwait. His goal? To control the world's oil market and dominate the region. The international community, led by the United States, responded instantly. Operation Desert Shield began, assembling a massive international coalition in Saudi Arabia.
For 6 months, the world held its breath. Then on January 17, 1991, the Shield became the Storm. And this was a new kind of war. Part 1. The Air War Knockout. For 38 straight days, the Coalition Air Force methodically took apart the eyes, ears, and nervous system of the Iraqi military. On the very first night, stealth bombers and cruise missiles blinded Iraq's air defenses. AWACS surveillance planes saw every Iraqi fighter that tried to take off, guiding American F-15s to intercept. The Iraqi army, sitting in the desert, was cut off from its command, with no communication and no resupply. They just waited as the bombs fell. The pace quickens again. Part 2. The 100-hour ground war. On February 24th, with the Iraqi army already demoralized and disorganized, the ground invasion began. Instead of the frontal assault Saddam expected, coalition forces executed a massive flanking maneuver, the famous left hook, sweeping deep into the desert to attack the Iraqi army from the rear and cut off their retreat. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a rout. In just 100 hours, the Iraqi army was completely shattered. Kuwait was liberated. The victory was total. The road to Baghdad was wide open. The entire world expected the coalition to march into Iraq and overthrow Saddam Hussein. But they stopped. The world asked why. There were 3 critical reasons. Pacing slows down, becomes more thoughtful and strategic. First, the UN mandate. The international coalition was assembled for one clear purpose: to liberate Kuwait. Invading Iraq and toppling its government would have violated that mandate and shattered the fragile alliance, which even included other Arab nations. Pacing slows down, becomes more thoughtful and strategic. Second, the fear of chaos. American strategists understood that Iraq was a complex country, artificially stitched together from 3 rival groups: the Shia, the Sunni, and the Kurds. Saddam's brutal dictatorship was the one thing holding them from civil war. Remove the dictator, and the country could explode, creating a power vacuum that neighboring Iran would be thrilled to fill. Pacing slows down, becomes more thoughtful and strategic. And third, the ghost of Vietnam. America had only just recovered from a long and painful war. Getting bogged down in urban warfare in Baghdad, followed by a lengthy occupation of a hostile country, was the one scenario Washington feared most. It was a quagmire they were determined to avoid. And so, Saddam Hussein remained in power, severely weakened but undefeated. The decision not to go to Baghdad in 1991 was seen at the time as an act of wise, strategic restraint. The Bush administration had avoided the exact nightmare of occupation and insurgency that America would face just 12 years later.
Desert Storm proved how a war could be won with technology and brilliant tactics. But it also left behind a difficult question. What do you do after the victory? And as history would show, answering that question was far harder than defeating a 500,000-man army in 100 hours.